figure out a way to get grass because we had the 1936 PGA Championship. So imagine preparing for a PGA Championship, not having any grass and having to figure out a way to get grass on your green. So it was an older type of coastal Bermuda overseeded with Italian rye. Was the first grass that we had in 1935 on the green. And it stayed that way until Ross died in 1948. And then from 48 to 60, it started to evolve a little bit. 1962, we had the U.S. Amateur. And then in the late 60s, the original owners and founders family sold it. And when that happened, the new owners didn't like this look. It didn't look like Disney. It didn't look like, you know, green Augusta. It was just different, and they didn't like it. And they were cheap. They didn't have a lot of money. So what they did is they aerified the fairways, blew the plugs out into the sandy wiregrass areas, added irrigation heads, and just let the Bermuda grass take over. So that's how we lost the sandy wiregrass areas. If anybody accidentally calls them low maintenance areas, that's not the case. There's a ton of maintenance that goes in, especially after rainfalls and weed pressure and all those things. Not low maintenance, not 100% natural, but more natural than Bermuda grass rush. Ross said he hated overgrown fairway grass for rush, and so that's why we have this here. Found a lot of old pictures, Tufts Archives, of the way that Ross intended it. Coore-Crenshaw got an aerial map from Christmas Day 1943 because we were right next to Fort Bragg. The military was doing surveys around, and for that time the detail of this aerial photograph was such that you could see golfers in the fairway. You could, I mean, it was that good a quality, and they, as smart as they are, could tell how deep bunkers were based on the shadows cast and the time of the day. So they were able to take those maps, all the history we had, and put the golf course back. In 43, it was right after they had added a center row irrigation system, so they could still see the trench line in the middle of the fairway to where we needed to put the middles of the fairways back and then irrigate from there. So in 2009 and 10, we had over 1,500 irrigation heads. Now we have about 450. It's all right down the middle. The only place we're double row is 2 stations off the front of the first tee. And it's a little wide. Everything else is single row irrigation. We water fairways on an as needed basis, not to keep them green. If it gets just crispy, toasty brown, we'll add a little water to them, but it's gonna rain sooner or later. We get 52 inches of rain here a year, and let's be honest, the less we water, the less we have to mow. And so even though Primo is a wonderful growth regulator, we use it all the time. The neat thing about Primo for us is when we are out making our applications, we'll tell our applicators only spray the green grass. So if it's been droughty, the middles of the fairways could still be green, but the way our irrigation system is center row, the edges can get crispy. So right now, it's been wet. We've got green wall to wall. We have about 50 to 55 acres of turf. If it's hot and dry and they only spray green grass, we only spray about 25 acres of turf. So just from environmental conditions, our fairways shrink by half. You know, so when that was a big telling thing for me. It was like, you only mixed up 2.5 tanks. How are you done? Oh, we only sprayed the green grass. So that's only 25 acres versus 5 tanks when it's 50.